everybody today probably have a gold or a silver ETF in their portfolio, and there's a change happening there. Now, SEBI has gone out and changed the way how mutual funds will now value physical gold as well as physical silver. Now, what does this actually mean for investors, and what does this actually mean in terms of valuation? To understand all of this, and to help us in fact understand all of this, we are now joined by Vandana Trivedi, who is the head of Passive's Axis Mutual Fund, joining us now. Vandana, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking out the time. My first question to you is this development coming in. Help us understand as to, first of all, what is exactly that is SEBI said, and what are they trying to do via this?
Sure. Thank you, Mahima. Thanks for having me. What has SEBI said with respect to valuation of physical gold and silver held in various schemes? This does not apply only to gold and silver ETFs, but also to various hybrid schemes and multi-asset funds which are investing in gold and silver. So SEBI has said that while valuing, for the purpose of calculating NAV of these funds, while valuing the gold and silver, now you have to refer to the domestic spot prices which are issued by recognized Indian stock exchanges. So that's the requirement that SEBI has brought about. How is it different from the practice that is being currently followed by fund houses? So even now, when fund houses have been valuing gold and silver, what we have been taking is gold and silver prices, but these have been international benchmarks, which are provided by what we call as the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Market Association. And then we would overlay that with Indian realities, which is what is the landing cost finally in India, which means that we start with the international benchmark, then we layer it with our import duties, other various landing taxes, currency conversion, importantly. All of this would get layered over the international price benchmark. Now, SEBI has said, listen, let's not do that anymore, and you value it at domestic spot prices, which is published by recognized Indian stock exchanges. So that's the change, Mahima.
So, Vandana, I'm just trying to understand here as to why this move. I mean, what is the kind of aim that SEBI is trying to achieve through this? And how does this, kind of change things for somebody who's already invested in these ETFs or hybrid funds or any fund that has exposure to gold?
Sure. Okay. So what SEBI has tried to achieve via this change is what SEBI has been trying to achieve via everything that they're doing for the investors in the mutual fund industry, which is to bring about transparency, to bring about standardization. So essentially till now, while valuing gold and silver, we had the LBMA prices, and then we would layer that with a number of fees and taxes, and also put in our own estimation of the premium or discount that was prevailing in the Indian markets, right? Which meant that different AMCs could end up having different types of assessment while layering all of these additional costs over the physical gold or silver cost. However, now when SEBI has mandated that we move to the prices published by recognized Indian stock exchanges, what SEBI is doing is that it is standardizing all the Indian realities with no flexibility of assessment that's left anymore with any single fund house. So that's as far as the impact of it on, say, how the calculation will go on from now and how mutual funds will have to respond to complying with these new regulations, which are effective the 1st of April 2026. Now, most important question is, what does it mean for investors? What does it mean for you as an investor if you're already an investor? The earlier system was not flawed. Okay, the earlier system was as good as it could be. We are just standardizing with this new regulation or requirement as mandated by SEBI. For the investor, what does it mean? Does it change the number of units that you're holding in your gold ETFs or silver ETFs? No, it does not. Does it change any taxation element for you? No, it does not. Does it change your cost of acquisition for investments that you've already made? No, it does not. So for the investor, nothing changes. What it changes or what it helps the investor is, in future when you're comparing, say, two ETFs, then the NAVs that you're seeing for the two ETFs is standardized. There is no discretion element involved in terms of layering or arriving at the NAVs. So it is transparent, more transparent now, more standardized now, and therefore you can say it's also more comparable now. To compare between two ETFs, also, if you want to analyze the tracking error of any ETF, which is, as you must be, you would appreciate, is a very important concept that investors should be aware of while choosing ETFs to invest into. This gets that the denominator in a way gets standardized, so it's far more easier and standardized to compare. So that's the change for an existing investor. It just does not mean any action that's warranted from them. It does not change the risk profile of these asset classes. It does not change the use case as a hedge of these asset classes. It has just standardized the process of calculating NAVs. That's all.
Vandana, I just want to understand, is there going to be change in terms of the holdings? Because the difference, I believe, will be kind of taken into consideration. Just because, you would be kind of tracking as to how the spot market in India is versus internationally. What percentage of change can one expect in their portfolio because of this for both gold and silver?
Okay, so let me put it this way. So when you're using the NAV to value your portfolio, right, the change that usually comes in versus when you want to compare the Indian prices to the international prices, is the change that is brought about due to certain standardized factors. For example, import duty would be standardized, right, across all participants. Currency conversion metrics is standardized because currency is the same, right? It's USD versus, say, INR. What could change, however, is the seasonality element. For instance, Indian markets behave differently during certain phases. For example, when there is a wedding season in the country, when there is festivities like Diwali, Dhanteras, etc. in the country, when there is an India-specific premium that comes about in the Indian markets. Now, those are the times when there would probably be a difference in how the NAV is calculated. But I just want, for the benefit of your viewers, to share a very important distinction here. Now, when you, as an investor, you want to add or buy, say, gold ETF in your portfolio, you're not doing it at NAV, Mahima. You're actually going to the market and buying it at current traded prices of that particular gold ETF that you're choosing, right? So essentially, your buy or sell decision on an ETF is at the ETF prices which are traded in the market. NAV has nothing to do with it. NAV is important from the standpoint of comparative analysis between a couple of ETFs in the same space, or for the purposes of tracking errors. So from the investor standpoint, to value your portfolio, you will use the NAV, and there that process has got standardized, but it isn't really changing the value as such of your holdings. Because even today, again, for the sake of, at the cost of repetition, even today, when we have been calculating NAVs for ETFs, we have been taking the Indian reality. We've been overlaying it to the international benchmark prices that we've been getting, right? Now, SEBI is saying that instead of you individually overlaying or estimating those cost overlays or the cost additions, if I may call it more simply, there is a standardized price that now you start using, which will be published by recognized Indian stock exchanges. So your buy and sell decisions are really not going to get impacted because of this. Your valuation just becomes a little more standardized. I hope I've been able to clarify this for you.
Understood. I think now it's very crystal clear for me, Vandana. Thank you so much, in fact, for that comprehensive answer. The other aspect, and I'm sure about this, but I'd still like to confirm from you. Do you think there will be any taxation change? I suppose not, because this will not take into consideration any of the factors that we consider for kind of taxing these ETFs or hybrid funds.
Not at all, Mahima. You're absolutely right there. There is absolutely no change to taxation, cost of acquisition, and nothing at all.
Okay, got it. Now, the other aspect is that, do you think that because of, this whole development coming in, ETFs, bullion ETFs specifically, will see more inflows because of probably, I cannot put it as more transparency, but I think an easier way now to evaluate ETFs, right? Do you think there will be more inflows coming in?
Frankly, Mahima, if you ask me, I'm not sure that this is going to attract more inflows. If anything,
Okay.
it just gives more comfort while you're comparing or valuing your portfolio, right? But I would only urge that gold and silver or ETFs or any asset class for that matter has to subscribe to a certain asset allocation model that works for you, and therefore, to that extent, whatever allocations will keep coming. Just one other important thing that's happening in the world of gold, at least, is that there is seems to be a structural change that's underway because of various tensions across the world, etc., which is making people look a little more closely at these asset classes, which we may not have to manifest possession of these asset classes via the financial products route, which we haven't done very seriously as as an investing community so far. So to that extent, these bullion ETFs do now occupy an even more important space. So far it was in theory, in academics. Now it's actually getting executed by investors. And I think I'm just very, very glad that the regulator is working really hard to make this entire investment mode far more transparent and far more standardized, which is very important in the interest of the investor. So to that extent, it just gives a lot more comfort, I would think, to the investing landscape.
Got it. Vandana, thank you so much for helping us understand what this means for investors, as well as actually helping us decode as to what this move from SEBI was. So thank you so much for taking out the
Thanks,
time and
Prima.
speaking with us at NDTV Pro.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.